All right, folks, we're going to do an oil change on a 24 Can-Am Mav R. Kind of followed Dean's guidance a little bit. I think I have some other tips and tricks that they might come in handy. I don't know how the video is going to turn out. It'll be quite comical, fat man on his back, but I've got the Can-Am filter or funnel, that you can use. And I've also got these blue ones. And I'll show you why I have this one cut. This is for the transmission. You know, those holes are round. When you cut this like that, it still fits up in there and it drains pretty good. So bear with me. Let's get started, shall we? So first we're going to take this funnel. We're going to tuck it in from the top side. I remember, when Dean did this, he took these funnels and went up like this way with it. Yeah, that don't work for me. So I'm going to take and fold it up like yay and come in here somehow. And get that to open up. Maybe. I could be wrong. Yeah, see? You just open that up like that. So when you do it like this, let me see if I can't get light up in there. You can see that or not. You can see right there, it's your drain. And then I'll do the same thing with the blue one, the blue funnel right there. Stand by. Again. This one, you got a little bit more room to come in from the side. And you just peel it on down, stick a couple fingers up in there, and it spreads out. And again, that gives you clean, clear access to that 17 millimeter bolt that's up in there, and no oil mess. So, I say no oil mess, but watch. We might have one. So I go up in here, and if I can find it there. Crack it loose. Crack it loose. Bring this under. Apparently didn't crack it loose enough for my weak hands. Oh. There we go. And we take this one and you set it right there. I'm a beginner. That one drains them with quickness. But what that allows you to do is don't get no mess on your oil pan, your skid plate, Keeps everything nice and clean. We'll let that sit here and drip for a little bit. And I'll show you another trick we can do with I think they call it the flood feature. You get in and push your foot to the floor on the gas pedal and crank it over, and what that'll do is it'll pump all the oil out of the oil filter, but it won't let the engine start. So when you take the oil filter cover off, it's not full of oil. So let's crawl out of here. You're gonna hear me crank it over. All right, pause for an update in a minute. Here's pause. So now, in theory, if I read correctly, when you take these off, these are 8mm. This oil filter housing, of course you guys were watching, I wasn't, I gotta get the extension. The filter housing will be empty, and so it won't be totally full of oil that you have to drain out and protect your skid pan over. Whether this is actual factual or not, I don't know. Make sure you leave your drain plugs out. Let this thing drain for as long as you can, guys. Well, so far there's no mess. I guess this is an old Can-Am X3 trick. A friend of mine, Bo Henson's got an X3, and he says before you pop the cover, do the flood start or something like that. He says you hold your foot to the floor on your gas pedal and crank it over for, I don't know, he said 10 or 15 seconds. Well, you look at that. I don't know how you get that out of there though. Oh, come on, Can-Am, give us a handle. Be right back. Nothing. Ain't that a dandy? So that was pretty slick and easy. Now, so you guys know, there is an O-ring on here that your kit, whether you get the Can-Am kit or like the Evo kit, it'll come with a new O-ring. Don't forget to replace that. Back in a second. So here's the new filter. I don't know if you can read any of that that's on there for the filter numbers. My dealer sent this to me in the mail for being a good customer, apparently. So just kind of push that in there a little bit, nice and snug. Your O-ring. Again, when you put this on, inspect it here to make sure it's not rolled or twisted or anything. It shouldn't be. It just sits up in there, you know, nice and snug. This doesn't have a top or an orientation designation to it. It's got some writing right here. I'm gonna put that facing down like this. I'm gonna put the bolts back in. Make sure you always follow your manufacturer's torque specs. I'm going to put these in by hand and then go look for my torque wrench and torque them to the proper spec. I'll probably do that off camera. You guys all know how to use a torque wrench, I hope. And then your drain plugs, I'll inspect those here in a second too. We can see if there's any shavings or debris or anything on them. All right, I gotta go get a torque wrench. Right back. All right, so let's look at the front drain plug. It's clean. There's no shavings, there's no fuzz, there's no nothing on that. That's a beautiful thing. Make sure this O-ring, come on, focus. You replace that O-ring and this washer. They both come in your kit. So I'm gonna do that one. And then here's the other rear drain plug. Focus. And again, there's nothing on it, just oil. But make sure you replace that washer. My washer fell down in the top of the tank. You can see it sitting right there. So I'm gonna go get the O-rings and the washers on these, and I'll be back. All right, I'm gonna go crawl back under there, get these drain plugs back in, pull the funnels out, and then I'll try to get you a top view of the skid plate to see what our final mess situation is. Here we go. Okay, so that one. Could use a little bit longer extension. I can't quite reach into there with my fingers. A little bit of flashback, nothing too bad. All right, so let's get this funnel out. Just kind of squeeze it, crumple it, and put it into there. Do the same with this one. Just kind of squeeze it, wrinkle it up, pull it through and set it in your oil trough. Don't over tighten these, just snug. Get your torque wrench out and do it the right way. Again, I'm gonna go through and torque all this stuff off camera. All right, coming back out. So now comes the unfun part. I don't even know how I'm gonna film this, because I need to get up in there. Let me see here. Bear with me, guys. Oh, hey, that works, maybe. That blocked the view too much? No, you should be able to see it. The kit, 3 quarts. I dump all 3 in. I don't generally bother measuring it. All I do is check it after the fact to verify. You want to take a rag and wipe around this thing really good. Be right back. I almost forgot to turn you guys back on. Anyways, you get you a funnel that fits up in there nice and pretty. You get your oil. If your oil is the type that comes with a tin foil or whatever it is cap, be very gentle and do not let this drop into the jug, or else, well, that would suck. You just dump it in. Let that drain. I've heard a lot of people run Rotella T6 540 synthetic in these Can-Am engines. I know a couple people that have them in the X3s with a quite large amount of miles on them without issues. Well, I run that oil in my Honda Talon without issue. While this machine is still under warranty, I'm going to run that. Quart 1 down, quart 2 going in. Ooh, so exciting, watching oil going. $10.50 is for warmer climates. We're in Arizona here. I'm in northern Arizona, so it does get cold, but I'm also in a heated garage, so it doesn't get that cold. 2 quarts down. I don't know what the exact fill spec is. I thought it was 2 point something quarts. I don't know, I could be wrong. I'm putting all 3 in. That's what comes in their kit. That's what I'm gonna do. Next, I'll show you another thing that we got to do. That same flood feature that I did, you want to run that one again, because what that'll do is it'll prime all the pumps with oil that you let sit there and drain and drip out and stuff. We want to run oil through them, so we're not dry starting them. They could cavitate. I don't think it's going to do much damage, but it is still a possibility. So I always, after I change the filter and the oil, I will do that procedure just to get everything pumped and primed. Prime the fresh oil through the motor, and then when it finally fires off, it's already got oil everywhere that it needs to have it. All right, we're gonna go do 2 things. You guys are gonna stay here and watch. We're gonna do the flood prime cycle, and then we'll fire it up, let it run for a couple seconds, and shut it off. Well, looking at the manual, it says it takes 2.96 quarts. I did a definite 3. But you can see it's only coming up to the minimum mark. It's not coming up to the maximum mark. So that would tell me that it's low. I think my car is sitting pretty level. It's in the garage. I might roll it out of the garage and back in a little ways and double check and verify that the car is in fact sitting level, and go from there. Anyways, I'm gonna shrink this pole down and try to get a light in there so you guys can see how using those funnels keeps your skid clean. Can you see down in there? Probably not, huh? Anyway, there's no mess on your skid plate. One of the drain bolts is right here somewhere. I ain't doing very good a job at this, you know, but that skid plate back there, if you don't do it this way, you make an unholy mess. And you can tell there's no oil in there. All right, so I'm gonna close this up and then reconvene and getting ready to do the transmission, the DCT. That is a process. It is not a fun process. We'll get that changed on video too. I'll be back in a little bit. Thanks. Okay, so we're back. We're gonna work on the transmission. Oops, I think I just moved that. Is that right? Can't see it. Anyways, I went a long time ago and cut these out so they're more oval instead of circle. That way your funnels fit in there. I already got the one funnel in place. I'm failing at this. So to get these in, it's pretty easy. You just fold it like that. Of course, I may have spoke too soon. Maybe this is the one you go down from the top. I don't remember. You just get work it. Yeah, like that. So here, now you have access to that bolt up in there. How's that one? See that? And it keeps the mess off the skid. All right. So I think those are both a 17 millimeter again. So we're gonna get our catch pan. Break loose. Can't find it, Captain. Break it loose. I gotta have a ratchet on it, guys. Sorry. So the front one, here's the magnet. Doesn't look bad at all. Oh, I forgot to put a glove on. Oops. Don't do as I'm doing. It's really bad. Back one does not have a magnet. All right, we're gonna let these sit here and drain. pause. So while those are sitting there draining, we're gonna come in here. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get this thing in a good vantage point for everybody. Let's see if I can't. Right there is the Allen. You got to loosen that up. That's where you fill everything from. Once you broke it loose, you can just take your fingers, spin that one, and then I just kind of put a half a turn back on it so we don't lose it while the rest of that's draining. I'm going to pause it again, get resituated on the other side of the car for the filter. I'll show you some tips and tricks that I've got for that area. Well guys, I'm back and I forgot to hit the unpause button. I put the drain plugs back in and pulled the funnels out. That's all I did. So now don't be a goober and leave the thing all the way up and bust these things off in there. Okay, now where I differ from the way Hoover did his is he takes and cuts this zip tie and pulls this plug off and everything else. And it's just not necessary, honestly, guys. You'll see, oh, these, Trey Brock. He prints these out, originally made for the Honda Talon, but they're magnetic. That thing will sit right there and dump that oil right there. Ain't that nifty? I gotta figure out which way I'm going. So, well, Dean didn't do it wrong. Just a little different. Yes, difference is okay. No, don't get these bolts mixed up with your plastic cover bolts, because these definitely different. So these ones are significantly longer. I just don't want you to get them confused. So when you set them down, keep them separated. See, this will come right out of there like that. You can pull this filter off and dump it and not make a mess all over your skid plate. And just let that sit there and drain for a little bit. And then you'll take a clean rag and go up in there and wipe around up in there to get any residual oil out of there. Again, shouldn't be too big of a deal. And then we'll put our new filter in. One of the ways you guys can see the difference in the filters is this is the transmission filter. This is a check valve. You know, for when it's cold, it goes into bypass mode, and it doesn't blow up your filter media. even though it has the wire mesh around it, you can still blow up the media, but that's why this one has a check valve in it, so you don't hurt nothing. Okay, so we take our cap, get your rag, wipe it around up in there. That's all nice and clean. Your new filter, and you'll feel it kind of slip on there. Seeing as how I'm a beginner at this, I'm bound to make mistakes. Of course, this is my second time. Always start your bolts by fingers. I know in one of the procedures you're supposed to pull this bolt out right here and drain this valve body. It's such a minute amount of oil. I think it's like a tablespoon or two of oil. I don't think it's imperative that that happen. I didn't do it my first oil change. I ain't gonna do it on this one. Okay, get your funnel down out of the way. Get that last bolt in. Just a little snug, That's it. There we go, boys. Now, the filling procedure. This is the other spot where this funnel doohickey from Trey Brock comes in pretty handy. To fill this thing, you're supposed to pull this. Is that showing up on camera? Let me adjust this. You're supposed to pull that white plug right there. You pull that off of there, and when it runs out, or when it gets to that level, is when it's full. I had to go find out what socket that is. I think it's a 15 maybe, I hope. What is it, guys? 14 or 15? 15 it is. So you pull this fill plug out, or oil level plug. It's got a rubber O-ring on that, so don't lose that. Replace it if you got a new one. Unfortunately, I forgot to buy a new rubber O-ring for this. And if you notice, I didn't put one on that oil filter housing because it didn't come in the oil filter. Anyways, I'm going to pause the video, go around to the other side, and we'll show you how we fill this. Which is definitely a feat in and of itself. I almost forgot again, guys, I'm sorry. Anyways, I got the funnel put in there, and we're gonna start dumping oil. What I'm using this time, again, because the dealer sent it to me, is DCT oil. This isn't fun. There's not a lot of good way to get up in here. This oil change is a little bit premature. This oil only has about 1,100 miles on it. They say you can go 1,900 every 1,900 miles, I think is what it states. I'm going to be doing the Arizona Peace Trail here in about 3 or 4 weeks, maybe, if everything comes together. Well, according to that, it's right at that top thread, which I don't know how I got that lucky. Maybe I dripped and I didn't see it. But I'm going to say it's probably full. So I'm going to pull that funnel out, put our drain or fill bolt plug back in. Oh, this is not easy for a fat guy. Told you. And I know you're supposed to check this. What is that temperature? There's a procedure. I got to look it up because I can't remember it, but I know that I have to do the procedure to check it right. Make sure it's not overfilled or underfilled. There it is to it, boys. I'll do the differentials and the front driveline disconnect at a later date.